Hi, I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. Hot. The tea today is Yorkshire Gold, and it's too hot to drink. Welcome to new subscribers. I was just shocked, stunned, thrilled. Yeah, I can't speak. In the week after the last video, I got 10 new subscribers. So I have no idea why you're here, but I'm glad you are. Sometimes when I get like a bump in subscribers, it means somebody has shared it somewhere. So if somebody shared this and that's how you found it, let me know. I'm always kind of curious about that kind of thing. Like, where did these people come from? Anyhow, we had two things going for this past weekend. Jeff and Jamie over at Foster the Meeple had a Game-a-thon this past weekend, which meant that they played games, streamed them for 24 hours from Saturday morning to Sunday morning. We put the stream on the TV and played games. The idea of the Game-a-thon was to play as many games as possible or have friends over to play games, something like that. Although it occurred to me that those two things can be kind of mutually exclusive. There isn't actually a huge amount of overlap between the games we know how to play and the games that people we know how to play. So we went for and besides we're kind of, it looks like we're going to be able to have a game thing this coming weekend. So what we went for was playing as many games as possible. So let me lay this down and I will get to this in a minute. This was the big new game this past weekend, and we did not play it during Game-a-thon because I wanted to play a whole bunch of games, and larger games that are first time plays tend to be longer. But let's see, what did we do? We played Birds of a Feather, Western North America. We played 12 games in 12 hours, and it could have been more because I went for small box games because they play very quickly, but at periodic times we would just take a break, go into the living room and sit down in front of the couch and watch the stream more closely. Birds of a Feather, Western North America. This has not worn well over the years. The ideal player count for this is 4, and it's fun with more people, but at 2, half the cards that are played are random, and that just kind of messes things up. You don't really get, it's just, I don't know, I feel like that this game may not have a long lifespan in our collection because it seems like that the lower than 4-player variant is not really going to work well in the long term. The first game we played, though, was Botnik, which is a fun game of ours. It's a 2-player tile laying game. And we played this first thing in the morning, early on Saturday, and I got the worst score I have ever gotten in this game. I mean, Robert just shellacked me. He had flowers and fruit all over the place. And he got most of the Mecha Botanist as well. So it's like, wow, I just tanked playing Botnik first thing in the morning. Note to self, let's not do that again. Not that I'm like really am so deeply invested in winning or losing or anything. It's just that I just sat there and I just looked at that. I'm just going like, oh, wow, I really screwed that up, you know? It's like, I should have gotten the other tile. What was I thinking? We also played Herbaceous. We did not add in the Spice mini expansion. And see, that was the thing. I just kind of made the arbitrary decision. No expansions for anything. The only difference being that one card game, which would have taken more time to separate out the expansion, but this one was already kind of laying on top. So yeah, we played Herbaceous. We like this game. It is a lot of fun. It's one of Pencil First games. Floriferous is better known, but we don't have Floriferous. We're going to get it, but we play Herbaceous a lot. It does not have Basil in it, though, which is a bone of contention. Rome, which is one of our all-time favorite games. Little area control game from Red Raven Games, Ryan Lockett. This is set in the world of Arzium, but it is a small box game, and it is a lot of fun. We love this to death. And we still say which character we've gotten and read the text when we turn over a card. The shine has not gone off of this. We've been playing it for years now. And it just got a reprint in the Game-a-thon campaign, so it's going to be more widely available in the future. We played Patchwork, which is a game that Robert likes more than I do, I think, because he's just so very good at polyomino games. I like polyomino games, but I'm not terribly good at them, and I really struggle with Patchwork. I think we both ended up in negative numbers. It's been a few days, so I don't remember what our final score was, but neither one of us covered ourselves in glory when we played Patchwork this time. You may notice that this is not the standard edition. It says for two lovers. What that means is this is their Valentine's thing, and this is for us our basic standard Patchwork because it's a box of chocolates, and I feel like that boxes of chocolates should not be considered seasonal. Robert, I think he took a break, ran an errand, or did something, and I played a game of A Gentle Rain. It got ugly. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes, more so than usual, and it got very, very messy, and yet I pulled it off. More or less, I discovered one token in there, but I had a spot where I could have put it, so yeah, that's fine. We're calling it. I was like, whatever. The one game that I left the expansion in, I have a couple of games that are just in deck boxes, because these games sit down there at the the table right by the door to the garage so we can just grab them. I can throw one in my purse as on the way out the door. This is Sea Salt and Paper. The Extra Salt mini expansion is rolled into this, and since we got it, we always play with it now. We had a great game of that, and the other one that's in the deck box, that's one of my grab-and-go games, is Quiddler, which is, it's kind of like Scrabble in a deck of cards, except that I mean, you're not building on other people's words, but you are making words from letters. And the words get longer or more as you go along. And one of the things I like about this that makes it significantly different from building words with Scrabble is that at the end of each round, you shuffle the whole deck and start over again for the next round. So, I mean, with Scrabble, we've cleared it out. We haven't started a new game yet. But with Scrabble, you know, I mean, the preponderance of certain letters changes as the game goes on because you just have what's left. But with Quiddler, you've got the full selection each round. Now, Quiddler, because you score each round, I actually got a Quiddler scorebook. I mean, you can do this on a scrap of paper. The first time we played, the person who taught us the game, we just used a piece of paper. But I have another game we played this weekend, which I also have a scorebook for, and that's Yahtzee. I love Yahtzee. And I don't have like a box thing of Yahtzee. I just got a Yahtzee score pad, a little shaker thingy, and I got some half pencils, and I put a few score sheets in there, so this too can be grab and go without necessarily having the score sheet. And I got some dice. I got some ivory colored dice. They're Chessex dice a while back, and they're kind of marbled ivory. And I just thought that they would look nice with this dice cup set. So we played Yahtzee. What haven't I spoken of? Oh, yeah, we played a game of Chili Mafia, and that's always fun. It's just a set collection card game with chili peppers that are drawn like cartoons. We got in a game of silver. We played, of the boxes of silver we have, I chose Silver Bullet because I looked in BG Stats, and we actually had one less play of Silver Bullet than the other silvers. And I can see why. This is not our favorite silver. In fact, this deck has two of the cards we like the least. We don't like the whole flippin' cow deck thing, though that's okay. The other card that we don't like the count card. We really hate the count card, the number 10, because you have to put 10 cards into the discard, which means that the game can go by really fast. If you get those 10s in a position where you're discarding them, and let's face it, you're not going to be keeping them, then suddenly from the deck, 10 cards go into the discard, and you're like going, Let's see, the other one, 9, we were not crazy about because you use the discard ability of one face-up card in any village, and there are some discard abilities that are not terribly good, so... So we played our least favorite silver this time, and for the 12th game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and for the 12th game we played Carcassonne. This is base game Carcassonne, and we did not roll in any expansions, and you might say that's not the right box, but I have all of the Carcassonne major expansions except for the one that's out of print, and I have a bunch of mini expansions as well. So I've got the folded space insert, which has organization for base game Carcassonne and any one of the expansion boxes. And then because we like the tile, there's a tower in here that you distribute tiles with. What I did is I put a few of our favorite expansions in here in the tower box with the tile distribution tower thing because we like that. And then the rest of them are divided between those things. So yeah, that was actually, I mean, it's a lot of games. They all play pretty snappy. And that was what we did Saturday. And if I can move these out of the way, and I've still got some games sitting there that we did not get to because we were taking breaks and watching Jeff and Jamie stream. If I can find the link for it, I will put a link for their 24-hour stream down below. And then on Sunday, we played our first game of Life of the Amazonia. We liked this. We like this a lot. This is the retail version. So that means it's got a lot of cardboard, not wood. It does have wooden meeples. The animal meeples you can see on here are very, very cute and very well done, I will say. And, but all of the other stuff is cardboard. I'm thinking I'm gonna probably upgrade those because something we noticed, this is a bag builder, and something we noticed when we were reaching into the box for the tokens is that they tended to stick together, and we would a lot of times pull out 2 instead of 1, and we're always like, throw me a token back. So yeah, I may get the resource tokens for this. This came with, you're gonna have a lot of setup. It takes up a big chunk of the table, like a lot of table. You're gonna have a lot of setup, and it's gonna take time to put away. And before you play, you're gonna have a certain amount of setup, maybe less with the deluxe because I think it has a bit less cardboard because they have wooden tokens and stuff. But there were 11 punch boards in this, and you have to build 4 boats because this plays up to 4, and 2 token vaults. And those of you that don't like putting things together and think, oh yes, and the waterfall, and think, oh yes, this has great table presence and all this kind of stuff, but this is totally unnecessary. The waterfall has to be put together every time. Everything else doesn't, because it just won't fit into the box already made up. But if you don't want to do that, this is perfectly usable, laying flat to move along your tracks on here. So that's always an option. And if sliding the little cardboard back part of the stand in there, if it ever wears out, again, you can just lay this flat. It comes with 4 bags, different colors. And it's tricky getting it all back into the box. That's the thing that I found, but it could just be my organization skills are not good. Here are our little jaguars. There are flower tokens, and there are the most adorable frog meeples ever. This game has been compared to, but I specialized in the tamarin monkeys. But this game has been compared to Cascadia. I have not played Cascadia. We don't have Cascadia. But I can see the similarity in the sense that you have tiles, and you're putting animals on the tiles to score points. I think it's significantly different in other ways because, for one thing, Cascadia is an entry-level game, and this is not. On Board Game Geek, they rated this at a 3. And I would probably rate it just a teeny tiny bit lower than that in terms of the weight. I'm not talking about the rating like popularity or how good of a game it is. It's a very good game. But the weight was 3, and I would probably call that weight just a little bit under that, and here's why. I tend to put a lot of stock in how easy a game is to learn. And when you get 3 and above, sometimes gameplay becomes fiddly, and you got just like a truckload of rules that you have to take on board before you can even sit down at the table and sort it all out. No, this is relatively easy to learn. The game flow is pretty simple. You buy stuff. I mean, that is essentially it. And by the way, the cardboard retail version has little 3D trees you have to put together. You've got to punch all the little trees and stick them together. The game flow is very, very smooth. Essentially, you're just buying stuff on your turn. That's it. You may be buying resources. You may be buying a special bonus action, of which there's not a huge number. I think there's like 4 or 5 special bonus actions. And so you're not going to be actually buying bonus actions very often, if at all. In some cases, it's to correct mistake, like move your animal. They have a good player aid, and everybody gets like a unique animal thing, which will help them score things, kind of like an obvious objective sort of thing. Taking out all the animals. We got macaws, we got woodpeckers, toucans, tamarin monkeys, we got river otters. The otters are also very, very cute. We got just tons of stuff. These are your little player tokens. You just move them along the track when you do stuff. These are the special action tiles. You can use a bonus action to get one of these to plug a hole maybe, or to join 2 pieces of terrain together by covering up a couple of pieces of terrain here. Starting tiles have the tent on the back, but yeah, the terrain just goes together. And building larger terrain is usually a good idea because you're going to be scoring off of the animals and the habitat, like something score for having lots of trees in their particular type of terrain, or lots of water flowers, or foliage, or whatever. These are your starting tokens and the in-game finish player tokens. I mentioned boats. You put together these little boats. And the token things. And I know you're saying, oh gosh, this is just more fiddly crap that you do not need for your game. But actually, this is one of those things that adds table presence. And I'm just looking at this and I'm going like, wow, this game would be a real pain in the neck to play without all the things you put together. Because the things you put together not only look nice, they make the game flow super smooth. These are your token vaults. Oops, more tiles. Double-sided, you can see. One thing I'm not sure about is sliding. It's got a top that slides off here. And I'm just a little concerned that after a certain period of time, sliding that on and off of the cardboard is going to get worn. I guess it would depend upon how often you play it. But the nifty thing isn't just that it gives you a container for your tokens. and they're all together, and they're easy to place on the table and everything, but it tells you what the denomination of each of the tokens is and how much coin you have to spend to buy those tokens. So you can tell at a glance what you need to do. And here's the other nifty thing. You can buy coins with your coins. And that's really a good way to start off the game. At least I think it is I started trading in some of my coins for coins of larger denominations and larger denominations, because some of these other things are kind of pricey, and you only draw 5 tokens on your turn. You can have 1 left over from the previous round, and if you buy more storage, you can have 2 or 3. But you know, I kind of wanted to use my water tokens for something else, so Robert and I only upgraded our storage once. But what you do is, on your turn, you got your 5 tokens, and some of your tokens are going to be coins. What did I do with that? I don't see where I put it. Anyway, some of your tokens are going to be coins. Some are going to be leaf tokens, which you need for certain actions. Some are going to be water tokens, which are pretty valuable for certain other types of actions. And so you take the coins that you have and you spend them to get other resources or upgraded resources, or to buy cards. You have scenery cards and you have insect cards. Insect cards have a one-time action. Scenery cards you hang on to because they've got scoring conditions that you will score at the end of the game. So that's something that's basically another kind of objective thing that you can work toward. You got little seeds here. Seeds are kind of like wild card resources that can be subbed in. And you can use 2 of any resource to sub for 1 of a resource you don't have. So, I mean, you've got a little bit of flexibility. I mean, you can get yourself into a tight corner where you don't have what you need, but I think with just reasonable gameplay, because Robert and I are not professional board game content makers or players or anything. We're just kind of like really average board gamers. On some days, we're kind of below average board gamers. So if we can do it, you can do it. But yeah, I mean, you just take the tokens you've got, you look around, you buy some stuff, you maybe see what's available and plan for future purchases. And when you buy stuff, you discard into your boat. And every player's got a boat. So you discard into your boat. And if you don't use all your tokens, they also go into the boat. So then it's another player's turn and they do the same thing. They buy some stuff, they discard into the boat, and then, you know, when it comes back around to your turn again, you draw 5 tokens out of the bag. Maybe you had 1 left over from the previous round because you can carry 1 over, or 2 if you buy storage or whatever. So then you get more tokens, and you look at the tokens that you have, the leaves and the coins and the water. And they've got different denominations. You start off with fairly low denomination stuff like onesies, but you can trade up. And so you buy stuff. And when you buy, you discard into your boat. And when it runs out of your bag, if say like you've drawn 3 and your bag is empty, so then you dump your boat into the bag, give it a good shake, and draw the rest of the ones that you need, or up to 5. So, I mean, that's basically the turns. I mean, you buy stuff, and when you buy, you discard into your boat. When the bag is empty, you dump your boat into the bag and you give it a shake and draw more stuff. So, I mean, that's really all you're doing is you draw 5 tokens out of the bag, you buy stuff, you discard into your boat, you dump the boat into the bag when the bag is empty. And so it's a bag builder. You're constantly upgrading your resources, your coins, you're buying cards that will give you special abilities like one-time use for the insects, or scenery cards that are things that you're putting animals on there. Because, I mean, that's one of the things that you're doing is that there are these big, lovely animal cards. And all of those animals require food. Some of them also need water or a leaf token. And so you collect those tokens. It's like, and so you say, oh, wow, look, I can afford to buy that now. So you buy the animal and you put it on the appropriate type of terrain according to its card. And the animal card also has scoring conditions on it for that animal. And you put the animals onto your thing, and it's really actually very easy and smooth. You just buy stuff and you keep upgrading as much as you can, trying to make your bag better. There are spots on these terrains where you can discard something, and occasionally that action will come up in other contexts, like for a card or something that you get. But that little X means you discard something, and that helps you hone the contents of your bag so that you can get rid of some of these ones that are in your bag once you start getting other stuff. Not that the ones don't come in handy up to a point, but you don't want your bag loaded with this many ones when you need to buy something that needs 8 food and 2 leaves. So that is pretty much the game. We enjoyed the heck out of it. It is beautiful on the table. You've got the waterfall track there where you're moving up. This is where you buy, the top track is the track where it tells you how much you've got to spend to buy terrain tiles. Down here are trees. Some animals need trees. And you will get, some of these, like you will get points. Down here at the bottom is how much you got to spend, but up here at the top will be your final scoring points. And down here at the bottom, you can buy water flowers for your aquatic animals. But it's a lot of fun. It's lovely. It's just got a really nice rhythm to the gameplay. But I mean, strategically, there's just a lot of stuff because you've got to figure out what you want to buy, and you've got to figure out how you're going to get the resources to get it, and you've got to try to create some kind of synergy between the plants and the animals and the type of terrain, and string as much terrain tiles together as possible. You usually have 3 terrain tiles out. I say usually, you always have 3 terrain tiles out. We forgot to refresh a couple of times to choose from when you buy terrain. But yeah, we like this a lot. This is definitely a keeper. Something I forgot to mention yesterday when I recorded this, which is actually very important, is this game has scalable difficulty. It has multiple difficulty levels. The game that we played with the A side of the animal cards. There are 8 animals that you can put into your habitat. And the backside of these cards, not the same as your unique animal, which is dealt out to every player, but the animals that are laid out for you to buy during the game. The backside of these cards have, not like a backside, they've got a whole nother thing. There are A, B, and C cards for each of the animals that you can purchase to put on your tiles. The A side is the easiest side, and that's what they recommend for your first game, and that's what we used. Now, something to note is that this is the cost down here. No matter what difficulty level you're on, the cost for the animals will always remain the same. What changes is the scoring conditions. On the A side, each grouping of 1 woodpecker and 1 adjacent tree scores 4 points. On the B side, each grouping of a tree and a woodpecker scores points based on its shape. So yeah, a little bit trickier there. And it's the same. There's actually a whole second deck of cards. When you're going through, you're going to find duplicate cards for the animals, but they're not actually duplicates because you have A side and B side, and then you have C side and D side. Like the C side for the woodpecker, each woodpecker scores points based on the number of adjacent trees. The D side is the jungle scores 4 points per forest habitat with trees and woodpeckers present. The macaw, I'm doing just birds. The A side, macaw scores points based on the number of trees in the same forest habitat. The B side, you're doing groupings of macaws and plants based on points. And the C and D side, here's the macaw. The C side of the macaw scores points based on the number of pairs of an animal and a tree in the macaw's habitat. And there's a chart. And the D side, macaw scores points based on the number of plants in the community of macaws and plants. So what changes between the A, B, and C cards for the animals is the scoring conditions, not the cost of the card. But this means that you do your first game on the A level, everything plays really smooth and fast and easy, but then you turn it over for the B level, and the scoring difficulties for the animals are different and perhaps just a tiny bit tougher in some cases. Yeah, it kind of looks that way for some of these. And then you can go to like the next deck of cards, which have C side on one side and D on the other. It's right down here in the corner. The letters, and they will also have different scoring conditions, which can be a bit more difficult. Or you could just mix them up, randomize the animals and the cards, because your cost for getting those animals are going to be the same, but you could just basically change things up, shuffling A, B, and C cards for the animals into the game to make each game truly unique, and with a unique and varying level of difficulty depending upon what animals that you're getting. So one of the things I really like about games are replayability. That's one of those top things. And especially because we're kind of curating our game collection. We want to keep games that we really like and that we can play over and over again over a long period of time. And this has that replayability baked into it because of the different scoring options for the animals. And another thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention is I will put a link down below in the description for a how to play video for Life of the Amazonia. And this is the video that I watched, which helped us learn the game. It's actually a pretty straightforward game, though as I said, strategically it's kind of interesting. I wouldn't say that it's an easy game, definitely not entry level. And you can run into a bit of analysis paralysis in figuring out what you need to do. My turn slowed down right toward the end a little bit because there was a bunch of stuff I wanted to do, and I realized that the game was running out. Also, the length of the game varies depending upon, not length of game, but the number of animals that you get to trigger the end game changes depending upon the player count. If you have well, no, that's not right either. If you have 2 players, you don't put out all of the animals that are available in the game. You have a limited number of animals that are available, and when 5 of the animals have been completely depleted, put on people's boards, then that triggers in-game. So you can see when animals are getting low in certain areas and that in-game is coming up. If you have more players, then the animal cards will each have more animals on them, so that players can get more animals for more players. Because, I mean, I think the otters or something only had 3 or 4 animals on them, which would make them a pretty rare beast if you're playing a full 4-player game, but is just about right for a 2-player game. So they scale the number of animals because the number of animals on the cards is what triggers in-game. So that changes depending upon player count. And those same animals have varying difficulty levels of the scoring conditions and just different sets of scoring conditions that you can use for your game, which can change it up quite a bit. So I will put a link for a how to play video down below. It's pretty good. It helped us learn the game, and thanks thanks for bearing with me with all of these edits. So I'll have to edit this. I will see y'all next time round the table, and thank you all so much for joining me and hanging out here on YouTube. It's been fun.